For every beloved MCU actor, there seems to be one that fans just can't stand. And while someone like Tom Holland continues to charm audiences with his boyish energy and grounded performances, others haven't been so lucky. Take Tatiana Maslany, for example, cast as Jennifer Walters, aka She-Hulk. On paper, it looked like a great fit. But when She-Hulk, Attorney-at-Law hit Disney+, the backlash was immediate. Fans didn't just criticize the show, they rejected the character and, in many cases, Tatiana herself. The series was pitched as a quirky legal comedy with superhero flair, but what viewers got was something far more chaotic. It broke the fourth wall, threw traditional storytelling out the window, and even poked fun at the Marvel fan base itself. A now infamous scene with She-Hulk working alongside Megan Thee Stallion became a lightning rod for criticism, with some calling it one of the franchise's lowest moments. Then came the finale, featuring an AI named Kevin, a not-so-subtle jab at Marvel Studios head Kevin Feige. It mocked fan theories, online critics, and the broader MCU formula. Instead of bridging the gap with disappointed fans, the show seemed to push them further away. Tom Holland. Now let's talk about Tom Holland, the golden boy of the MCU. When Marvel and Sony decided to reboot Spider-Man for the third time in less than 20 years, the pressure was intense. But Tom came in and completely owned the role, delivering a version of Peter Parker that felt fresh, honest, and instantly lovable. Even Stan Lee himself once said that Tom was exactly how he imagined Spider-Man when he first created the character. And that kind of praise doesn't come lightly. But what makes Tom so loved isn't just his acting, it's who he is off-screen. He's not just playing a superhero, he's a real fan. He grew up with these movies, he geeks out over the same stuff we do, and when he talks about the MCU, it's with real excitement. He's humble, even when sharing scenes with legends like Robert Downey Jr. Behind-the-scenes footage shows him messing around, dancing, laughing, and still giving 100%, even when it means getting hurt doing his own stunts. Fans see that and respect it. He cares. He shows up. He brings heart to every frame. And of course, his emotional chemistry with RDJ helped make the Tony-Peter relationship one of the most memorable storylines in Marvel history. It's no wonder Tom Holland is one of the most universally loved stars in the MCU. But not every actor has had that kind of smooth ride. Captain Marvel. If you've ever scrolled through an MCU fan forum for more than 5 minutes, one name is almost guaranteed to spark a firestorm: Brie Larson. When Captain Marvel was gearing up for release in 2018, Brie made headlines, not for her performance, but for her comments during press interviews. She spoke out about the lack of diversity in film criticism, pointing out that most of the press covering her films were white men. Her message was about opening doors to more voices, not shutting anyone out. But online, her words were twisted. Suddenly, Brie wasn't just playing a superhero, she was being labeled a man-hater, a symbol of forced diversity, and the poster child for wokeness in Hollywood. Captain Marvel released in 2019, right between Infinity War and Endgame, and while it crushed the box office with over $1 billion, the fan reception was divided. Critics praised its empowering message, but many viewers called it forgettable, overly safe, and emotionally flat. Then came the press tour drama. Fans picked apart every awkward moment between Brie and her Avengers co-stars, especially Chris Hemsworth and Don Cheadle. One interview clip went viral where Brie, sitting beside them, talked about figuring out her character with no real script or clear direction. The tension was subtle, but fans saw it, and they never stopped talking about it. Whether fair or not, Brie Larson remains one of the most polarizing figures in the MCU. Speculation grew that Brie didn't get along with the rest of the cast, despite Don Cheadle himself tweeting that people were blowing things out of proportion. But by then, the internet had already made up its mind. Not even the Marvels could shift the narrative. When the film hit theaters in 2023, it became one of the lowest performing MCU entries ever. And while the box office failure wasn't entirely Brie's fault, the movie was plagued with delays, rewrites, and a studio that felt creatively stuck. She still took the majority of the heat. Ironically, her version of Carol Danvers in The Marvels was more relaxed, more human, and finally fun. But for many fans, it was too little, too late. Brie Larson became one of the most controversial names in the MCU, whether she earned it or not. But while some Marvel stars get swallowed up in drama, others have managed to avoid it entirely, winning fans over not with loud statements, but with quiet consistency. And few have done that better than Elizabeth Olsen. Elizabeth Olsen. Elizabeth Olsen made her MCU debut in Avengers: Age of Ultron back in 2015. And let's be real, Her first outing didn't give her much space to shine. The accent was shaky, her character's motivations felt a little scattered, and for the most part, she played a supporting role. But even then, something clicked with fans. Her performance had this quiet intensity, whether she was mourning her brother Pietro or tearing Ultron's heart out. Wanda Maximoff had emotional weight, even in limited screen time. But the moment that truly changed everything was WandaVision. Released in 2021 on Disney+, the show flipped the entire MCU formula. It wasn't just about powers, it was about pain, loss, grief. A surreal sitcom hiding one of the darkest emotional arcs in Marvel history. And even when Marvel stumbled in execution, Elizabeth carried the entire series with grace and depth. After that, Marvel had a golden chance to keep developing Wanda, but instead, they rushed her transformation into a villain in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. The writing confused a lot of fans, but no one blamed Elizabeth. If anything, her performance was so powerful, she made Wanda's fall feel heartbreaking, not just evil. She became one of the few actors fans consistently praised, grounded, compelling, and quietly commanding. But not every MCU actor has had that kind of steady rise. Because over the past few years, Anthony Mackie stepped into some massive shoes as the MCU's new Captain America. At first, fans were genuinely excited to see Sam Wilson take the shield and lead a new era. But then came The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The series had potential, no doubt. But the execution felt uneven. The pacing dragged, the flag smashers as villains didn't quite land, and Sam's big moments started feeling more like lectures than leadership. His speech to the Global Repatriation Council was meant to inspire, but for many fans, it felt more like a TED Talk than a superhero mic drop. You have to stop calling them terrorists. What else would we call them? It was a bold scene, but also divisive. Then off-screen, things didn't get better. Mackie made headlines for comments about inclusion in Hollywood that many felt were poorly worded, especially coming from the actor now representing the franchise's evolution. When fans wanted deeper insight into Sam's arc, Mackie's interviews often came off as defensive rather than reflective. People expected Captain America 2.0, but what they got felt like someone still figuring out how to wear the stars and stripes. And while Brave New World brought in nearly $290 million globally, it still landed on the lower end of MCU performance. Sam Wilson's Captain America still feels like a work in progress. But if there's one name in the MCU that's never needed defending, one actor who didn't just play a hero but redefined the entire Marvel brand, it's Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. He's the man who built this universe, literally, in a cave, with a box of scraps. Robert Downey Jr. brought something to the MCU no one expected. Swagger. Depth. A razor-sharp wit. He made Tony Stark magnetic, not just as a hero, but as a deeply flawed genius who felt real. This wasn't your typical billionaire playboy. He was arrogant, impulsive, brilliant, and RDJ played every shade with nuance. From Iron Man to Endgame, he wasn't just a character, he was the heart of the Infinity Saga. His chemistry with the rest of the cast elevated every moment. Whether he was trading barbs with Steve Rogers or guiding Peter Parker with quiet mentorship, RDJ balanced the universe around him. Then came Endgame. I love you 3000. I am Iron Man. Those lines didn't just hit, they broke us. Fans didn't cry just because a hero died. It felt like losing a friend. Off-screen, he's just as admired. Downey understands the responsibility of the role. He shows up for fans, jokes at red carpets, surprises kids in Iron Man suits, and never treats it like a paycheck gig. He mentored new cast members, advocated for equal pay behind the scenes, and always put the legacy of the MCU above his own ego. And when it came time to pass the torch, whether to Spider-Man, Black Panther, or anyone else, RDJ did it with grace.